Hello, and welcome to the Saturday, October 17th meeting of TV Toastmasters Club 9523. To find out more information about our club, you can log on to www.tvtoastmasters.com. We have a special meeting in store for you today. Our Toastmaster, Mr. Rick Davis, is departing our club, so today's meeting is all about Rick. So I'd like to welcome our Toastmaster for today, Mr. Rick Davis.
Thank you, Michelle. We have a great meeting today. We have a couple of speakers, but first is our counter word grammarian. I've known this person for about 20 years because our kids were on Cub Scouts together. Emily Garrett.
Thank you, Rick. So I remember we rode the bus to Alabama together for space camp as chaperones, and these women were talking about my husband. I said, my husband's not here. Well, the guy you were riding on the bus with, like, what made you think we're married? We're sitting together. So the word of the day is agog, and it means highly excited by eagerness, anticipation, or curiosity. It comes from the Middle French, meaning in jest. It entered English in the mid-1400s. An example is, Rick and Sharon are agog to start their new adventure. I'm challenging you today to use this word as you're speaking up here, and I will be counting your filler words or any grammatical errors and reporting on those at the end of the meeting.
The next person that I'm going to introduce, I want to apologize to District 40 for unleashing her to the district. She's the whirlwind that keeps Toastmasters together and keeps everything in line. And she called me on the phone when we were setting up Talk Toastmasters because I'd put an ad in the paper, and she called and we talked for about a half hour, I think. She wanted to know all about Toastmasters. She said, I don't have any problem talking. I do things for the zoo, and I do things over here and do things over there. But I'd really like to improve. I said, this is the place for you, and that was the beginning of a long friendship. Carol Kormelink will do Tabletopics today. Carol?
Thank you, Mr. Rick, our presiding Toastmaster of the day. And we will be a dog today. And Rick and I have helped start other clubs, and I said I had no problem speaking in public. I didn't need Toastmasters. I just wanted to learn how to communicate better with my husband. I found out I needed Toastmasters. The most important part of communication is listening. I never listened because I was never listened to. I'd say, hon, would you? No. So I had to learn how to communicate. And it's been a great time. I've done a lot of stuff with Rick. We would meet many times when we were trying to start Bearcat Toastmasters because we did the speech craft there. My topics theme is change is the first one. And for change, you've probably had some change this year. And Gwendolyn, if you'd like to let us know. And you don't turn that on until the minimum time. Yeah. Until time. So if Gwendolyn, if you could come up and tell us something about a change that you've had this year, whether it was good, whether it's bad, or anything that has to do with change. And be sure to use the word of the day, agog. Gwendolyn Mason, our newest member. This is her second meeting. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Carol.
Change.
All right, well, I think I've had a lot of changes this year, and most of them I've been agog about, and coming here to Toastmasters was one of them. I'm very excited about being here and learning how to communicate more effectively. Recently changed my son's school, and he went from one private school to another where he's with his cousins, and that was a big, fun, exciting change for our family. And I am experiencing some changes in my household. Renovating some rooms, trying to make it more fun for the family and more modern, I guess, because I have a 1970 home, which is in need of a lot of change. So I'm agog about making those changes and adding more color instead of just white and beige and wooded paneling. So I'm very excited about being here and about all the changes that are happening in my life. So,
Thank you very much. Picked the right person for that one. My next word of the theme is challenge. And I know that Bobby has had some challenges, and I would like to hear a challenge that you have, Bobby.
Thank you, Carol. Well, I'm just agog with challenges, so this is right up my alley. I will be able to speak to challenges. So as many of you know, I have had a lot of virtual jobs where I work from my home. And then I had about a 7-month, I have virtual projects. So I had a 7-month project in Montgomery, Ohio last winter, and that worked out very well. I really enjoyed the drive to Montgomery. They had parking right in the building. I parked right next to the elevator, didn't have to worry with any of the the roads in the winter. So just this year, I have started a job where I've started a project where I am working on 4th and Main, right downtown Cincinnati. So I have said many times, oh, I don't want to work right downtown. In fact, I've turned down projects specifically because they are right downtown. And this looked like a good project. I was ready for a project, and they ended up paying for parking. So the first day I paid $8 for parking, and then I tried a couple of different places that are $15 a day for parking, and I have settled on a location that is quite a few blocks away, but it's only $3 a day for parking, and then you take a shuttle. So my challenge, I have now, because I've settled on that, I have now paid a monthly parking. So I've resolved that challenge by, paying in advance, and I have to have 50 cents for the shuttle each way. So I buy quarters in a roll now, so that I've always got quarters for my bus. But that is the challenges. I was agog with where to park and how far I was going to have to walk and what I'm going to do in the winter. So I'm still looking at what it's going to be like to drive downtown and park one place and take a shuttle somewhere else. But the bus does let me off very close to my project, so I'm feeling very confident about that. However, that is a challenge for me. So.
Thank you for that. I picked the right one there. And don't they send you out of town on occasion? Weren't you going to Charlotte, North Carolina?
Back to Charlotte, North Carolina in 2 weeks.
Yeah, okay. Very good. Change, challenge, opportunity. And the person I'm going to call on for opportunity has seized many opportunities, and I would like to call Emily and ask, what are your opportunities, Emily?
Thank you, Carol. It's been an interesting year at work because I work for an insurance company, and we are creating a new policy system for our agents to quote policies for customers. And this requires a ton of people. Oh, we're not supposed to say ton. A lot of people to work a lot of hours on this project in IT. But then in my group, we are doing all the training for the new system. And since my supervisor had a health issue, I was asked to lead the development team for the training, which is an opportunity to do more work and worry about more things. As I eagerly took this challenge, I guess the challenge of the opportunity, right? It's still an opportunity. It's always an opportunity. And I'm starting to see the light at the end of the tunnel. We jumped in around February or March, and I'm starting to wrap some things up, so I'm very excited that this opportunity is almost over. However, we're gearing up for a sustainability campaign at our company, and I raised my hand for that opportunity as well to try to help the folks that run the building to get the word out and get people to recycle and try to find other things that they can do and challenge them to get on the train for sustainability.
Yes, you have a lot of opportunities there. I thought you might talk about the opportunity of being an area director and making your area distinguished.
I only had 1 to 2 minutes.
Okay, that finishes my table topics for today, and I would like to have our Toastmaster come back.
Thank you, Carol. The next person I can't say anything bad about because I've only known him a couple of years, he and his wife. Richard Gant is giving a speech, number 4 out of the basic manual. When we asked him about a title, he said that he didn't have one. When we asked him about his subject, he said, "The end of everything," which sounds like a pretty upbeat So I'd like to introduce Richard Gant.
Thank you. So, in honor of Rick's retirement, I'm here to tell everyone that our universe is doomed. That's the bad news, of course. The good news is that we have some time before we really have to worry about that. And to explain why, let me put things in a little bit of perspective. Our universe was born out of just a random fluctuation of the quantum foam about 13.7 billion years ago. Now think about that number for a minute, billion. This is not a number that human minds really can comprehend. So, does it help if I say that that's 1,000 millions? No, not really. Million is too big for us to understand. Does it help if I say it's 100,000 millennia? No, not really. So, if I say that our universe began 13.7 millennia ago, does that really help put this into perspective at all? Maybe if I tell you that our universe is 1,000 times older than human beings, or 4 times older than our solar system. Just to give you a sense of the scope of the universe. And that sounds impressive when you say that. The universe is 4 times older than our solar system and 1,000 times older than human beings. In the grand scheme of things, our universe is barely an infant. But to explore the ultimate fate of the universe, just try to imagine yourselves hanging above the earth right now, looking down at it from the heavens. And let time flow forward. The calendar flips by like it does in all those movies where time passes, only it flips a lot. 1 billion years from now, our sun will have heated up to the point that all of the water on our planet will have evaporated. 4 billion years beyond that, our sun will expand into a red dwarf. It will fill somewhere between the orbit of Venus and the orbit of Earth. It doesn't matter exactly how big it gets, our world is doomed at that point. Because if it isn't just engulfed right away, the orbit will destabilize and will spiral downward through the atmosphere of the sun and crash into the star that we once thought kept us alive. But that's not even where it ends. 4 billion years after that point, we're about 9 billion years in the future now, our sun will freeze. It will have consumed all of the hydrogen and helium at its core, and its pressure and its gravity will no longer be enough to force oxygen and carbon, which will be what's left in the core, to fuse and generate more heat. It will be reduced to an ashen crystalline husk in the heavens, slowly cooling. But that's not the end of that. It's still not the end of everything at this point. See, 9 billion years in the future, we will have been part of a combined galaxy for about 2 billion years. Because about 7 billion years in the future, our galaxy, and the Andromeda galaxy will collide. possibly hurling our sun out of our galaxy altogether. But if not, over about 2 billion years, they'll bounce back and forth, oscillating and slowly molding into a single grand super galaxy. Like I said, that puts us about 9 billion years in the future. This isn't the only galactic collision we're going to experience, though. For anywhere from the next 100 billion to 1 trillion years, the rest of the 54 galaxies that make up our local group will slowly, inexorably be pulled together, colliding and mixing and swirling together until they form a single massive supergalaxy. Now, think about that number for a minute. 1 trillion. If you thought 1 billion was hard to visualize, try to visualize 1 trillion years. 1 trillion anything. There haven't been 1 trillion seconds in the history of the universe yet. So, to try and put it in perspective, imagine that 1 trillion years is a single 24-hour day. Looking at that clock, excuse me, too many numbers in this speech. Everything that's happened from the Big Bang until now took place in the first 7.5 minutes after midnight, if 1 trillion years is 1 day. Our species first came into existence somewhere around the second half of the 6th minute. So, with that day analogy in mind, can you kind of get a sense of what 1 trillion years might look like? Great, because the numbers get bigger at this point. Using the same analogy of the calendars, let's skip forward to April. In April on this calendar, about 100 trillion years in the future, the last of the stars that will ever exist is born. All of the hydrogen that was created in the Big Bang is now locked up in heavier elements from fusion or contained in the last of the stars that are burning. And by the end of April, about 110 trillion years in the future, that last star to have been born gutters out and dies. All that's left is a universe full of ashen corpses of stars. And we're still not done. Because at the center of all the galaxies, of every galaxy that exists, is a monster. A supermassive black hole. Ours has the name Sagittarius A prime. The black holes, over the course of the next, and this is a number that you cannot cope with. The number is meaningless. 10 to the 40th power to 10 to the 100th power. 10 Google years. Over the space of 10 Google years, those black holes will devour the remains of the stars. And all that will be left is a universe full of nothing but gravitational anomalies that we call black holes. And in the grand scheme of things, even those will die, evaporating in a burst of photons and electrons and protons. And at that point, we have an empty, cold, dead universe forever. But forever is a long time. And somewhere in that forever, there will be another random fluctuation in the quantum foam. And another universe will be born from our ashes. And the whole process will start again. So retirement doesn't seem that bad in the grand scheme of things.
So your IRA only has to last to 1 to the Google power, 10 to the Google.
Plan for 15 to the Google.
Thanks for that speech. I'm agog. All right.
We have 1 minute.
1 minute so that the evaluator can do their dirty work. Welcome back. Our next speaker has probably had the most changes over the course of her Toastmaster career. She started probably not too long after the club was established.
6 years ago.
6 years ago, and she went from being single to being married to being a big shot at work, that kind of thing. Michelle Lewis is the president of our Toastmaster Club, and the title of her speech is A Toast to Our Founder. Michelle.
Fellow Toastmasters, our guests looking in at home, and our most honored guest today, Rick Davis. All good things must come to an end. And today marks your last meeting with TV Toastmasters. Rick is retiring, and he and his wife are moving to the fantastic city of New Orleans, so they have a new chapter of their lives that they're going to be venturing on. But today I would like to toast you for your insurmountable contribution to this club, TV Toastmasters Club 9523. So Rick, I would like you to join me up at the lectern. So little fun facts about Rick. You're a 23-year veteran of Toastmasters.
Something like that.
That is an accomplishment in itself. You're a DTM, which is a Distinguished Toastmaster, the highest level of achievement you can do in Toastmasters. Pretty impressive.
Mm-hmm.
You co-founded 4 clubs.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. That's a lot. And when I asked you how many times you served as president, you didn't even remember because it's been so many times. And sometimes he claims he's been railroaded into that position, but I know you've always put your best foot forward and enjoyed serving as president, but you've also served every other possible role in the Toastmasters Club, and I know you even went up to the area governor.
Division governor.
Division governor, so a lot of accomplishments there. And TV Toastmasters was your brainchild. In 2003, you founded this club with the help of Carol. And what is unique about TV Toastmasters, you were a bit of a pioneer because you took the idea of Toastmasters and you then went ahead and actually produced a show around it. You gave the members an opportunity to see themselves on film, but you also let the community outside peek into what was going on at a Toastmasters meeting. You did the editing, you did the filming, you did the directing, you even mailed out DVDs.
Mm-hmm.
So Rick, you've done quite a bit, but that's not the only way you've been a pioneer.
Back over here.
That hipster stash that is cool in 2015, Rick sported it in 2003. From the stash to the specs to the cool guy stare, Brad Pitt has nothing on him.
The producers have been calling.
I know you've witnessed a lot of changes through Toastmasters, and especially TV Toastmasters, from the birth location at AUCT, which is the Anderson Union Township TV studio. I hear it was a bit cozy.
Mm-hmm.
And then you transitioned over to the Anderson Civic Center, which was an awesome television studio, the whole 9 yards. It had 3 cameras, the editing bay, the director's booth. You've got platforms and lights. And now to our current abode, which is here at the Anderson Township. You've seen it transition from VHS tapes,
Mm-hmm.
which you didn't mail those out, did you?
No.
To DVDs, and now on YouTube. I know you've seen many members walk in the door, some that stayed for a very short period of time, and some that blossomed and have been around for a very long time.
Some have died.
Some have passed away. So you've seen a lot of change. And Steve pointed out that when you started the club, you had 1 portable camera,
Mm-hmm.
and today
We're back.
we're back to 1 portable camera. So I think you've seen the club come
Right.
full circle. So the number of speeches, how many do you think you've given over the year?
Probably a couple hundred.
A couple hundred. Well, I'm going to highlight 2 that were some of my favorites. So
Okay.
you did an editorial one time about stop the insanity, and this was your plea to get rid of daylight saving time.
Right.
And anybody who's met Rick knows he doesn't like mornings, hence
Not really.
when you strolled in about 10 minutes late today. And I think you actually negotiated with us one year, if you're going to be president, you have to have the club officers meeting after
Right.
the club, or after the club meeting, because there was no way you were going out at 7:45 a.m. for a club officer meeting. And I even recall a time when You slept through the alarm? Didn't show up at a meeting. Carol was your wake-up call. Rick, where are you at today?
She's good at that.
My second speech, so this is my all-time favorite, and it still goes down as one of my favorite of all Toastmasters. The time you were doing speaking from the Make Them Laugh from the Humorously Speaking Manual, and this was in 2012, and you did a performance review of James Bond. And for any of those you remember this speech, you had us rolling. The entire group was laughing hysterically. You had Paul Wessel sitting up acting like he was James Bond just from the back of him. And I honestly felt like I was in a real performance review. And that was one of my all-time favorite speeches. But if you ask anybody, what is Rick Davis famous for? It's his table topics. His table topics, from the bad book report to describe this photo to what is this object I found in my mother's basement. And you were always challenging, they were always entertaining and very unique. And I think you said your NIOSH club actually named you Tabletopics Terror.
Yeah.
So I think it's kind of appropriate that I ask you a Tabletopics question right now. So, and it's not going to be super challenging or unique, but what is your fondest memory of this club?
Of this club? There are lots of memories. You think of people like Wayne Bachman that came and visited, people like, the district governor came and visited us a couple times. That was always pretty interesting and caused a lot of clamor whenever they would show up. Santa. We had Santa one time, right? And he was not a jolly good fellow. He did not enjoy. He was like a professional Santa, and he was not happy being up Saturday morning. And Carol, I think, was trying to get some little kids in, and I'm glad that she wasn't able to.
They'd have been terrified, right?
Yeah, he was a grouch.
So, the club would like to give you a little bit of a care package to take with you, to kind of prep you for your new adventure in New Orleans, but also to kind of take some memories with you when you leave this area. So first, Louisiana hot sauce. And when do you plan to move?
I'd like to move before the snow flies.
Okay, so you need to build up some tolerance. Everything in New Orleans is spicy.
Right.
So your challenge is to consume this with your next meal.
Okay.
The whole bottle?
We'll put that on
The whole bottle.
the chocolate cake.
New Orleans ranked number 9 out of the top 10 buggiest cities in the United States. So I suggest you don't leave home without this.
All right.
But there's some things of Cincinnati that we want you to take with us. And are you originally from Cincinnati?
No, from
But you
Seattle.
lived here how long?
30 years.
So it's home.
Right.
It's home. You go into the city of pralines and turtles, so you got some good things going on there. But we have some of our own, and this was a staple in my household growing up. Esther Price candy. And today's sweetest day, so it might double as a gift.
Right. I can.
Yeah, I was thinking about you on that one.
We gift that.
And finally, last but not least, you've got gumbo, jambalaya, but New Orleans ain't got nothing on our Cincinnati staple. Chili.
Yeah.
You can order this, you know that.
Right. I'm hoping that people will send us care packages.
So this is just a few things that we want you to take with you, but Rick, you've been the backbone of our club, and we appreciate all you've done from the inception to being the workhorse behind it, and we hope you leave it in great memories, and you're going to be greatly missed. So from all of us at TV Toastmasters Club 9523, thank you to our founder, thank you to our friend.
Thank you. Well, now I am agog. Can we have 1 minute so that the evaluator can prepare their evaluation?
Name an effective political leader in history who couldn't speak well.
I would say first in the word is in the
There aren't any.
Because when it comes to a disease,
Freedom
like
requires
breast
leadership,
cancer,
and leadership requires oratory. You have to speak to be heard.
I have a dream.
It's all about personal growth and guts.
Never give in. Never, never, never.
Welcome back, and now we're going to head into the evaluation portion of the meeting, and for that, I'm going to be the general evaluator. Our first evaluator is Rick Barron, who is going to evaluate Richard Gant's speech. So, Rick.
Thank you, Rick. Ashes to ashes, dust to dust. We got to see the entire life cycle of our universe today. And Richard, you did a fabulous job of drawing us in with the words that you used, the examples that you provided, and the details that you shared with us. Congratulations on helping us embrace the end of everything. Much of the focus of the speech was on the words that you used. And there were things like swirling and mixing that we heard from you. The one I caught that I really enjoyed was the quantum foam. As I sat and thought about electrons and neurons and all this stuff swirling around, I had to be brought back to the speech going, hold on, you're supposed to be listening, not thinking about the foam here. The grand super galaxy, the star gutters out and dies. Gave us a lot to think about, not only in the context of the material that you shared, but the way that you shared it. Very effective. I love the visual that you did with the clock and helping us understand relativeness associated with the timeline that you provided us. The one improvement I would have liked to have seen is you could have actually had potentially the visual. Either the clock itself with a little bit of red showing how much it was, or potentially a timeline or something saying here's 24 hours and here's how far we've come potentially down that 24 hours. In the scope of the speech itself drew us in because it talked about a topic that no one wants to hear about. The end of everything. As we struggle with our lives and the things that we try to deal with on a day-to-day basis, thinking about where this little rock that we call Earth and the galaxy that we live in is headed is not something that we all think about on a daily basis. You did a wonderful job of sharing with us some complex and important information that was very effectively communicated and right on point. Thank you, Rich.
Thank you, Rick. I think you gave some nice feedback there. Our next evaluator is Emily Garrett. She's also our grammarian today, and she is going to evaluate Michelle Lewis's speech.
Thank you. Michelle's speech, A Toast to Our Founder, was very engaging and entertaining. She started out with a great opening with all good things must come to an end, and summarized Rick's retiring and moving down to the city of, what is it?
The Big Easy.
The Big Easy. I thought it was a great idea bringing Rick up and turning it into an interview, because that's more engaging than having one person stand up here and talk. And Michelle took a lot of time to research all the things that Rick did that she may not have known about. Some of the things were firsthand experience, but not all of them, and with Rick's roles in other clubs. And she gave a great history of Rick's Toastmaster history and all the roles that he performed. Humor was intertwined throughout the entire speech, and the laughter let us know that everyone was engaged and being entertained. There were a lot of stories of speeches and memories, all tied very well together. It flowed very well. The visual aids with Brad Pitt and with the gifts at the end, each with a story, it just really overall made it into a very engaging speech. The conclusion, of course, was with thanking him for his time and effort and all the memories. And I thought, I'm really struggling to find a suggestion for something to improve here. I really haven't, I wasn't able to come up with anything. I really wasn't. And I know I should have been able to do that. But Michelle, you always do a really great job up here. You're always very poised and very easy to listen to, and you just really did a great job on this one. Mr. Toastmaster.
You want to give your grammarian report?
Sure.
Do you have that handy?
I have it here somewhere. On the back or something. Yes. Okay.
All right.
Thank you. So at this point, oops, I just used a filler word. At this point, I'm going to report on filler words and grammatical errors. I didn't really find too many of either one. The impromptu speaking, Gwendolyn had a few uhs and ums, and Rick had a few of them as well. Bobby had a you know wedged in there. And Rich, in your speech, you like so for a filler word. No uhs or ums, but a couple of so's. And sometimes so's are really planned. I've had so's written in there, and then I get called on them.
At least two were actually written into the text. But.
And I've written them in, but then maybe there's a better way to say it. That one confuses me a little bit when the so's are counted.
I write in all my
notes. Or and. Sometimes I have ands in there, but I plan to say and I practiced saying it. For the word of the day, agog, Gwendolyn used it twice. Carol used it once. Rick Davis used it 3 times. Bobby used it twice. I didn't use it at all. It was my word.
I do that all.
I even put it here. I find it that a little bit of a challenge to pull that word of the day in. Sometimes Rich will use it 20 times, and I'm amazed by that. And that's all I have.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Emily. Those were excellent evaluations and reports. Our timer report, I think Gwendolyn was the timer today. Would you like to come up and give the timer's report?
Thank you. Okay, this is my first time doing timing, so I did 109 for the table topic, and Bobby at 214, Emily 150, then the speaker Rich Gant 7 minutes 21 seconds, and Michelle Lewis at 9 minutes and 23 seconds. That was very good. And Rick, for your evaluation, was 2 minutes and 45 seconds, and Emily's was 2 minutes and 12 seconds. And then also the grammarian report for Emily was 1 minute and 40 seconds. I think everybody did pretty well, keeping on track.
Don't want to mess with Toastmaster protocol. You'll get a note from the district governor. We had a great meeting today. I apologize for being a little late. I stopped in at McDonald's. I thought, I have lots of time. I can just stop and get a cup of coffee and a biscuit. And I don't know who they're hiring these days, but they just were taking their sweet time. I'm going, Carol's going to be calling me here in about a minute. So anyway, I think we had a great meeting today, and I really appreciate everybody showing up today and giving it their all. And I'd like to turn it back to our president, Michelle Lewis.
Mr. Toastmaster. Well, again, we want to say thank you. We appreciate everything you've done for us. So let's give Rick one final round of applause. And this concludes our October 17th meeting of TV Toastmasters. You can log on to www.tvtoastmasters.com to find out more about our club, our meeting times and locations, and we hope we'll see you soon. Thank you.